more details, visit teal.edu.
This is Classical WQED-FM 89.3 Pittsburgh and WQEJ 89.7 Johnstown on HD1 and WQEDFM.org.
PRI, Public Radio International.
We give thanks for great music. There's no place like home, right here at this dial setting. You'll hear the American classic Appalachian Spring from Aaron Copland with his Russian family roots, conducted by American music director Andrei Previn, born in Berlin. We'll look into how the Czech Republic was formed in Pittsburgh and listen to the Czech celebration of home, My Fatherland, complete with Czech conducting hero Jiří Gilliatek. It's a melting pot with delicious ingredients. Pittsburgh Symphony Radio. I'm Jim Cunningham. This program is made possible by UPMC. Uncommon is changing medicine as we know it. Uncommon is daring to question the established way. At UPMC, we're transforming healthcare one fearless idea at a time. Welcome to change. Pittsburgh Symphony Radio is also supported by the McKinney Charitable Foundation, underwriting through the PNC Charitable Trust's Grant Review Committee, and with support from the musicians of the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra. As New Yorker dance critic Joan Acocella tells us, Aaron Copland's score for Appalachian Spring is a love song to America. It seems to survey the broad plains, stopping at the little white churches. Copland quotes the Shaker hymn Civil Gifts, and then moves on. In 1958, WQED invited producer Nathan Kroll to prepare a documentary on choreographer and dancer Martha Graham, who was born in Pittsburgh. Nathan Kroll produced A Dancer's World and a filmed version of the ballet Appalachian Spring. Both were groundbreaking. Nathan Kroll also put together a pilot for a series called Arts America, in which he asked American artist Paul Jenkins to interview Aaron Copland, sitting in his garden at Copland's home in the lower Hudson River Valley, upstate New York. Jenkins asked Copland to sit down at the piano in his library.
Would you allow us to ask you one more kindness? Would you play a passage from Appalachian Spring?
Well, I could try it. I haven't played Appalachian Spring myself on the piano in a long time, and it wasn't written for the piano, but I'll take a chance. This is the way the ballet ends.
Aaron Copland, playing his Appalachian Spring, and speaking with artist Paul Jenkins, a pilot for a television documentary produced by Nathan Kroll. Aaron Copland's Appalachian Spring wasn't written about Appalachia or the spring season. In fact, Copland never even visited Appalachia. The piece was composed as a ballet for choreographer and dancer Martha Graham, titled Ballet for Martha. Martha Graham suggested changing the name to Appalachian Spring, a phrase from Hart Crane's poem The Bridge. In 1945, Aaron Copland arranged a suite for orchestra from the original ballet. Copland was a guest conductor with the Pittsburgh Symphony several times, and he returned to talk about his music at Heinz Hall in 1981. The former music director of the Pittsburgh Symphony, Andrei Previn, brought Aaron Copland to Pittsburgh to be involved in the production of Previn and the Pittsburgh, a series of television programs for PBS.
I did bring him. And he was very nice. And he also did one of our television shows with us. And well, he was America's great
Video record all this, right?
Better again. I can't help it. Stop it.
Completely distressed when she said she had like a 70 on her first. It was like the highest mean they've had in a while. So.
Serious talk.
I'm not John, I'm Brad.
I think it's her engineering class. There's like technical writing too, so it's probably a new phenomenon for her. You know, now that she actually knows what she's supposed to do.
Yeah. It's the one where she crashes and whatnot.
We'll see how her counter can.
But I actually think a Richard
Hi.
is a good potato.
No homesickness or anything? Nothing.
She
It's not
Actually, in college, spent a lot of time in the lifting room to get bigger and stronger. Help him.
He does baseball too, doesn't he?
Yeah. Nobody looks like recruiting me. Like, you didn't really try.
But that was like always look it up.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, thanks for I don't know.
Business.
Yeah, okay. That's all that. My official stuff. That's why Mike always goes.
Come on, you guys. Because I've actually watched one. I'll watch.
That's where they find it.
Good evening, everyone. The hour of 7 p.m. having arrived and passed. Apologies for our tardiness. I call to order this legislative meeting for the Woodland Hills School Board for the month of September 2019. Ms. Hawthorne, will you call the roll?
Mr. Graves.
Present.
Ms. Seligson.
Present.
Mr. Hanchett.
Here.
Ms. Lawson.
Present.
Ms. Curry.
Here.
Dr. Hildebrand.
Here.
Ms. Strasbach.
Here.
Mr. Belmont.
Here.
Ms. Glasser.
Present. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. That will move us to review of the minutes for the August meetings. Is there a motion to accept the minutes from the agenda and legislative meetings?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Mr. Hanchett, second by Ms. Strasbach. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, we'll take the vote.
Hold on. Trying to open the motion, it is not working.
Do you want to take a voice vote?
I'm gonna have to do that for everything then. Yes. Yes. Mr. Graves.
Yes.
Ms. Seligson.
Yes.
Mr. Hanchett.
Yes.
Ms. Lawson.
Yes.
Ms. Curry.
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand.
Yes.
Ms. Strasbach.
Yes.
Mr. Belmont.
Yes.
Ms. Glasser.
Yes. The board met in executive session this evening to discuss legal, personnel, and school safety matters. And it was immediately preceding this meeting. Mr. Harris, have any announcements?
Yes, just one. On September 16th, 2019, the Alliance for a Healthier Generation, one of the nation's preeminent children's health organizations today, named 355 schools from 23 states as America's healthiest schools. And our high school was one of the top schools in the state for being healthy. The criteria, they meet or exceed federal nutrition standards for schools, meals, and snacks. They offer breakfast daily. They incorporate physical activity before, during, or after the school day. They implement district wellness policies and upgrade the policies annually. And they involve parents and community members in decision making. So congratulations to the high school for being one of the top healthiest schools in the country.
Congratulations. Are there any other announcements? Okay, seeing none. Do we have student speakers this evening?
No, we don't.
Okay, I see none. And I don't believe we have any presentations. That moves us to registered speakers. Carla Carrington? Yes. Please step to the podium. If you would give your name and address before beginning your remarks, you have 2 minutes to address the board. Welcome and are glad you're here. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Look forward to hearing from you.
Okay. My name is Carla Carrington. I live in Forest Hills. I have a daycare in Swissvale on Noble Street, Noble in Washington. And I'm here to find out how to make my daycare an approved bus stop. I have children getting off the bus in front of a bar, which is about 50 feet away from the daycare. And it's not taking the bus out of its route. It's still en route. And I wanted to know, what is the procedure for that? Okay.
Hi guys, my name is Ebony Carrington. I'm the parent of a kindergartner who attends STEM Turtle Creek Elementary. The reason we are requesting a authorization for approved daycare, there was an incident that occurred that should have never occurred. It could have turned it could have been horrible. My 5-year-old was let off the bus last Thursday without an adult present in front of the unsafe bus stop, which is a bar. There was no adult present. He did have the sense of mind to cross over an alleyway in a busy 4-way street to go to the daycare himself. Transportation was notified of it, but I would like this to never happen again. The bus that is the bus passes the daycare to get to the bar. So in order to add the daycare onto the approved, it would not take the bus out of its scheduled route, and it would not change the direction of the bus. So we want to know how we can get that added, because this could have been a horrible situation. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be sure to have someone contact you about that. Thank you. Bridget Creech?
Good evening. Oh, right. Name, address, right? My name is Bridget Creech. I live at 549 Howard Street, East Pittsburgh. I can begin?
You may.
I'm here to plead for your support in transporting our 29K through 5th grade students to the Youth Life After School program in Turtle Creek. We were notified Friday afternoon for a Monday start. We leaving no time for proper preparation. With less than 1.5 miles away, unfilled buses drive along this route every day. The distance is the law, but our request is not an inconvenience. I did join them today on their walk, and our kids are met with a state-labeled nuisance bar, 3 intersections and 1 parking lot having to go through, instances where drivers are trying to make right turns right as the kids are crossing, and unpredictable weather changes. Walking a group is more difficult than an individual child. With proper notification, parents may make other arrangements. We were not given that option. In closing, my family personally was met with a lot of trauma this past year, too many to name. A major reason we've stayed in the community is because of the families and teachers and the relationships that we've built. We've connected with them over these past 9.5 years. The untouched area in our life is vital to me and to our kids and the success of our program in the schools. The school setting and its standards has been our guide. It's less than a mile, I understand, but I say it is less than a mile. Safety goes a long way. I've heard plenty of speculation, but I'm looking for facts and solutions. Thank you.
Although we can't address the questions at this moment, we will do that following the meeting. That moves us to board matters. Mr. Harris.
Board Matters 2.1, we seek the election of PSBA officers as listed.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Mr. Hanchett. Any questions or discussion of the slate as presented?
So we're not really voting on anything, right? It's just the people that are in it.
It's a slate of candidates,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah.
They're all running unopposed.
They are indeed. Any additional questions? Okay. Seeing none, we'll take the vote.
We have to do it verbally.
Is that going to be for the whole evening?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there, well, we'll talk about what's going on with the system.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Ms. Seligson?
Yes.
Mr. Hanchett?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Strasbach?
Yes.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. That moves us to 2.2.
2.2, we seek approval of the Eastern Area Schools Joint Committee 2019-2020 elected officers and mail ballot.
Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Ms. Strasbach, second by Ms. Lawson. Any questions on this one? Okay. Seeing none, we'll take the vote.
Mr. Graves?
This is the 2.2. Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Seligson?
Yes.
Mr. Hanchett?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Strasbach?
Yes.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. That moves us to 2.3.
2.3, we seek approval of the C.C. Miller Memorial Library annual contribution of $11,000 from General Fund 10.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Strasbach, second by Mr. Hanchett. Any questions or discussion on that?
I did. I'm not going
Okay. Seeing none, we'll take the vote.
Ms. Seligson?
Yes.
Mr. Hanchett?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Strasbach?
Yes.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. That moves us to 2.4.
2.4, we seek permission to enter into agreement with PSBA for a customized workshop for board members.
Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Ms. Seligson, second by Ms. Strasbach. As a reminder, this will be this coming Saturday from 9 until 3. Any questions or discussion? Okay. Seeing none, we'll take the vote.
Mr. Hanchett?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Strasbach?
Yes.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Ms. Seligson?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. That moves us to 2.5.
2.5, second reading of revised policy 246, school wellness.
As this is a second reading, we will not vote this evening. Any questions on the revisions to the wellness policy? Okay. Seeing none, 2.6.
2.6, second reading of new policy 805.1, relations with law enforcement agencies.
Again, this is a second reading. No vote this evening. Any questions on this additional policy? Okay. Seeing none, 2.7.
2.7, second reading of revised policy 810, transportation.
Again, a second reading. Any questions on the revisions to the transportation policy? Okay. Seeing none, section 4, curriculum 4.1.
4.1, we seek approval to enter into a contract agreement with Sound Foundation Reading Instructions, LLC, to provide services for non-public schools as per federal programs.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Strasbach. Any questions or discussion on this allotment?
So yeah, I have a question that's sort of related to the next 4, I guess, of these. All right, so is there sort of, so like for the first one, there's only like a couple of schools that are signed up, or only one, if I'm not mistaken, right? Are there going to be more coming down the pike, or is this sort of all that are taking advantage of our need to do this? Do we know that?
So as the non-public schools send their requests into the grants and Title I office, they give them to me, and we make sure that they get the services they request as per our contracted agreement with them.
All right, so we really don't know.
I don't know. No, I don't. As they come, I am the same protocol as the past. That's right. Thank you.
Dr. Penman, these are Title I funds. They're entitled, non-public schools are entitled to a portion of our Title I funds, correct?
Correct. If we have children who attend those schools.
Right, okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
And these are all new to us? Or are these programs we have in place and we're renewing them? I couldn't get
So
a sense of where we at.
that's a good question. Just taking on the position since the position is vacated, I'm not sure if these schools were there previously or if they're new schools. So that I will have to check into. I did ask for a list of students from our district that attend a non-pub, and I did get some names. But that's all I have. I am going on the premise that these schools probably shouldn't have changed, because if they've been in the district and our children have been attending them, that they should be the same ongoing non-public schools. That's my thought.
Some are definitely repeats. I'm just curious that it seems like a very random list.
So that is something that we will have to look into and get that information back to the board.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if some schools don't take advantage of it or don't have students that need those services or what.
That could change.
But we set out title funds to them every year, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we have done.
As far as I know, just getting taken over since the positions become vacant, I can't answer the question if these are new schools, but yes, we do give funds to non-public schools every year. The specific ones, I don't know the names because I haven't looked at who I've just been, as they come in, I'm thinking that we did, since they're in the district and we have children that go there, that they've been consistent. So I can't really answer that question.
So, Val, are these budgeted? Would these be budgeted items that we already have budgeted, or is this a new expense to us?
This would have been a budgeted item, because when we get our title money, like the federal government has us put set aside. They call set asides for money for community and also for non-publics. Like,
okay.
So there has to be money that is spent for it.
We're essentially the pass-through, is that correct, Val?
Yes.
We're the pass-through organization for federal money to put non-public schools.
For non-public, yes.
Okay.
Right.
So then...
Right, and it depends on... like some,
another tab we
Right,
had.
so it depends on some of these are going through the AIU, right? So services are given by the AIU, and then we give money to the AIU to pay to cover those kids that are from other schools. It just depends on what the service is, it looks like.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you. Any other questions on this? Okay. Seeing none, we'll take the vote.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Strasbach?
Yes.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Mrs. Seligson?
Yes.
Mr. Hanchett?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. 4.2.
4.2, we seek approval to enter into a contract agreement with Step by Step Learning LLC to provide services for non-public schools as per federal programs.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Strasbach, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Any questions or discussion? Okay. Seeing none, take the vote.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Strasbach?
Yes.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Mrs. Seligson?
Yes.
Mr. Hanchett?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. 4.3.
4.3, we seek approval to enter into contract agreements with Allegheny Intermediate Unit to provide services for non-public schools as per federal programs.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Strasbach. Any questions or discussion? Okay. Seeing none, take the vote.
Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Strasbach?
Yes.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Mrs. Seligson?
Yes.
Mr. Hanchett?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. 4.4.
4.4, we seek approval to enter into a contract agreement with Pittsburgh Mount Oliver Intermediate Unit Number 2 to provide services for non-public schools as per federal programs.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Strasbach, second by Mr. Belmont. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, take the vote.
Ms. Strasbach?
Yes.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Mrs. Seligson?
Yes.
Mr. Hanchett?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. 4.5.
4.5, we seek approval to pass through funding in the amount of $157,500 to our partner agency, Heritage Community Initiatives.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Strasbach, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, take the vote.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Mrs. Seligson?
Yes.
Mr. Hanchett?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Strasbach?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. That moves us to 4.6.
4.6, we seek approval to enter into agreement with Eureka Math for professional development services in the amount of $7,000 pending approval from solicitor.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Strasbach, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Any questions or discussion?
I have a question. It's like an explanation as to what's involved here.
So our math program that we're using is Eureka Math. Right now it's in grades 6, 7, and 8, and it covers algebra. What's involved is that we have had one training already for administrative, one training for teachers. We will now move into the Eureka Math representatives meeting with the teachers, coming in, observing the teachers. This is for a series of training, not just one. And then also to help make sure that we're implementing with fidelity and to give a better understanding to the teachers and administrators with regards to implementation. So I listen to the teachers who have said to me that they need more PD with breadth and depth, not just being able to do a virtual training. So this way, the Eureka Math representatives will come in, they'll walk through the classrooms with the principals, and they'll meet with the teachers, they'll have conversation about the lessons, and it'll be ongoing support throughout the year, about 3 times.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no further questions, we'll take the vote.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Mrs. Seligson?
Yes.
Mr. Hanchett?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Strasbach?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. I'll note for the record that I failed to announce the results of the previous votes. All motions to this point have carried unanimously. That moves us to section 5, 5.1.
5.1, approval to ratify, renew the agreement with Adelphi Education, Inc. for the 2019-2020 school year.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Mr. Hanchett, second by Ms. Strasbach. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, take the vote.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Mrs. Seligson?
Yes.
Mr. Hanchett?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Strasbach?
Yes.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. Moves to Section 6, People Personnel, 6.1.
6.1, we seek approval to accept the opportunity for prenatal to third grade prototype stipend, P3.
Again, I apologize, 5.1 passed unanimously. Is there a motion for 6.1?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Strasbach, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Questions or discussion on 6.1? Seeing none, we'll take the vote.
Mrs. Seligson?
Yes.
Mr. Hanchett?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Strasbach?
Yes.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to 7.1.
7.1, Section A, authorization for leave. Section B, authorization for retirement or resignation. Section C, authorization to hire professionals. Section D, authorization to hire non-professionals. Section F, authorization for EDR mentor actions. Section G, authorization for miscellaneous. Section H, authorization for furlough or recall.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Strasbach. Any discussion of this would require executive session. Any need to go into executive session on this issue? Okay. Seeing none, we'll take the vote.
Mr. Hanchett?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Strasbach?
Yes.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Mrs. Seligson?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. That moves us to, motion carries unanimously. That moves us to Section 8, Technology, 8.1.
8.1, we seek approval to enter into a new 5-year copier lease agreement with the Wilson Group at a monthly cost of $11,859, subject to solicitor review and approval.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Strasbach, second by Mr. Belmont. Questions or discussion?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
I'd like to know, would this interfere with any of the operations with the school district now? Vinny?
I'm sorry. Would you please come up to the podium so you can address the proposal? Thank you.
If we were to start this process with now,
Yes.
is there any interruptions in the everyday operations of any of our buildings currently with this switch?
There should not be. I've offered to the district to even do the transition on the weekends and after hours so that we're not directly impacting the day's work. And I've worked with the IT department to prepare for training guides and things to be pre-distributed to the staff so that they're prepared, and not to belittle it, but the workings of the devices are very, very similar amongst copy machines. The way that all of the staff print won't change, so there'll be a very transparent transition from one aspect to another in sense of that. So I would confidently say there's not going to be a very large interruption. Anything we have done mid-year installations and rollouts in the past, and has not had much impact at all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I had two questions, actually. Sure. So from reading the proposal, if I read this right, this also covers like desktop printers. Is that true, or just the copiers?
So working with the administrative team, the goal is to start removing desktop printers from the district. So the way this is proposed and agreed with everybody was that is going to be off the table, and that is going to be phased out over time. It's proposed so that there's enough horsepower there in the multifunction devices to handle all of that work.
Okay, fair enough. And then my second question, if I also read this right, so because we currently have a contract with ComDoc, you guys are going to buy out our remaining part of our responsibilities for that contract and for the uses of the machines that we have with them. Is that true?
That is correct. That's included in this. So all monies owed to them will be satisfied by the Wilson Group.
Okay.
Through this transaction.
Those were my two questions. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I have a couple.
Well, I guess.
Sorry.
This will be. I know one thing we always seem to do well here
Woodland Hills, it seems to shoot ourselves in the foot. We are really going to be covered. So if we're currently under contract right now with ComDoc, right? And so we're going to bring another play. They're okay with this? We're not going to get sued for this. This has nothing to do with you right now, but I mean, we're not going to get sued by ComDoc because why are we starting a new lease with a company when we haven't even finished an old contract with somebody else?
Save money.
Save money, and our needs are different, they're changing. ComDOT was participants at a committee meeting in which we discussed a lot of that information.
Okay. Can I offer a follow-up to that? Sure. So in our business and in the growth of my company, the Woodland Hills will be the 28th school district that we will hopefully acquire as a partner. And in almost 100% of those, we have worked through a buyout process. As long as that current vendor is satisfied of all the monies owed to them, there's no legal situation to the district.
I would note that there is a competing ComDoc proposal included on the tab as well. I mean, we have the proposal from the Wilson Group, which is recommended because it is cheaper by about $40 a month than the ComDoc proposal that was the counter.
It's cheaper by about
$40 a month, as I understand it.
So we're going to save ourselves $40.
Well, no, not. I mean, overall, the savings is much greater because there's a significant reduction in both proposals, but the two proposals that are the final offers.
Over the next 5 years, we'll save $250,000.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So there's a significant savings.
Change everything around for $40.
There's a significant savings regardless.
Man, that's going to be
What will be the effective date if we switch over to Wilson Group? When would you expect the transition to happen?
That would be, my best guess would be mid-October, and we can work with the district on that. Through this process, we still have to, get the equipment and build it. And there's a 2 to 3 week period for that. Can work. It's been a moving target with the district. So what works? If it can revolve around a holiday, we can even do that. I don't know exactly what the schedule is.
Okay. I appreciate your assurances that there won't be an interruption in service. That's still a pretty significant concern for me. So I'm likely to oppose this for that reason, just because I feel like doing this in September is not ideal. And that's, I don't think, your fault. And it's not a judgment on you or the proposal or the company, but I'm just very concerned that that's not, given the amount of change that we've had over this summer, it's a significant concern that we would do this as we're asking everyone to settle into new buildings and all those things as well. I think layering this on is just an issue for me at this point. So
I'll second that. It just feels like it's nothing against, your proposal seems great, just too much. We have too much going on right now.
Yeah. So I just want to make that.
I think both of those viewpoints are interesting, considering the fact that we have interruptions that we shouldn't have in certain buildings, but we can't have a consensus on what we're going to do with those interruptions when it comes to staffing and the people who are there. But, I mean...
Well, then why add on the chaos of this is how we used to print our papers and get our materials to the students? That's just going to make it worse.
At the end of the day, you're a very budget conscious person. Mm-hmm. And what happens is there's been a lot of time dedicated to trying to renegotiate these contracts that's better for the district. And this is not going to be the only contract that's done. And, I went through a whole EDR situation in which I spent months on trying to get done, and then that didn't go anywhere. And this is another contract in which we presented itself, and there was a lot of time spent, and now we're going to vote it down because we're talking about interruptions in which the guy who's going to do the guy who's going to input the new stuff says there shouldn't be any interruptions. But I get it. I understand it. I get it. I mean, it's just frustrating because the idea is to move this district in a better situation with better partners and get better value for the dollars we're spending for the taxpayers. That's it, for the taxpayers. And we cannot continue having partnerships with other people that we've been in for 10 years and there was no cost savings. So now when we find a valued partner, let's not say better, let's say valued partner, we're scared to make the move.
It's not about being
that's amazing
it's
to
about,
me. At some point, we're gonna have to change our culture as a district and move forward on how we do business with other individuals. That's it.
Great points. What I was going to say is it's more mirroring to what Jamie's point was. It's the timing right now. I agree with you. This is affecting our tax dollars, which we will, I think if we look at this maybe another point in time, we can come back to this. But the bottom line for me is our students and getting the flow and getting the order and chaos back where it needs to be right now.
I understand.
So
my tax dollars are also at play at this too.
All of our tax dollars are at play. So it's everybody's money.
I understand it.
It's everybody's money, but I think we have more pressing issues that we need to focus on right now than another major move of the contract.
You were 2 months ago. You were talking about a $5 cup of coffee.
I was because
and now it's like there's $250,000 savings in 5 years.
Over time, it's not right now.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
If we were to essentially pause this change, is that a possibility to delay this change until, I don't know, January or the end of the school year? What do you think the proposal or the price difference may look like then? Would it be the same?
It would come down an incremental amount per month.
Like a prorated sort of thing, is what you're saying?
Yes, because there is an outstanding balance.
We could roll this out over Thanksgiving break.
I guess you could do it on Christmas.
I mean, we have a longer break period. We were looking at weekends earlier, and a lot of times in schools, the school calendar doesn't align with all the work that we have to get done. So we're about 4 weeks into school, and we were working through this over the summer, and to do our due diligence and to be fair and to be competitive, and audits had to be completed. We're 4 weeks into school. So working with Wilson, we can implement this over the week-long Thanksgiving break, where no one's in place, and when the teachers come back, they would see new icons on their computers, and they could print from there, because really we would just set that up as your primary print source is a multifunction machine, and the one that they're used to being will be gone. So like he's saying, I'm just going to hit print, it's going to go to the same machine where it probably was, it'd be a newer machine, and that's really it. We're not changing.
That solution. Thank you.
I would also note that we do have the proposal from ComDoc as well. And this is not advocating for this necessarily, but we could accept the ComDoc proposal. We're not bound to the lowest contract on this because it's not a bid process. I just want to make that explicit as we're considering this again. That is a possibility.
I think the only thing you're putting at risk though is for the next 4 weeks we're going to continue outsourcing our printing the same way we were for the last 10 years, in which got us in this situation in the first place. The idea of going to copiers is to try not to continue printing regular black and white sheets like this that we're paying more cost for. We're sending this out when we
but
can
I thought that
actually
wasn't
have
going to
copiers.
change. I thought we were still going to be doing the outsourcing, so that part that you're speaking to wouldn't actually change.
No, but we'll be putting a system in place for us to handle that locally.
But we can do that regardless. It doesn't matter who our printer,
We are.
Right.
We've already changed that. Right now, if you want to copy 2, 3, 4 pages, we do it in-house. It's not put out anymore. If you're going to do a binder or a booklet, that is still done outside. What I was suggesting was that we have a longer period of implementation where they acquire the equipment that they need. We can go into the systems with our IT department. And Wilson has been working with us and looking at timelines on how we could do it, where it would have been perfect in July, but sometimes the world and the moon and the stars don't align that way for us. And we do have an annual savings of over $45,000 annually under this agreement with Wilson. In working with them, I have to say they're a thorough company. They looked at all of our systems. They came in, gave us a fair evaluation, and the IT department, the business department, myself, we feel comfortable recommending going with Wilson Group. And timing isn't always perfect, but we are looking at another budgeting cycle coming up in February, March, where we're going to be looking at costs and our real-time costs versus our estimated costs, and these will be real-time savings that the earlier we can get this on board, we will have, so that when we stand before you again presenting a new budget, that negative is a lot less than what it was this year. So we could roll this out over Thanksgiving break, where we have a week long, not a weekend, and Wilson will be up to speed for this. We'll be ready. No teachers will be in the building or staffing except IT folks and myself and facilities, and we could get this going with very little disruption to the teachers and staff, the building's daily duties.
Any other questions, discussion? Mr. Belmont?
I'm going to support the administration tonight and their support for the Wilson Group, and here's why. We had a difficult budget vote. We furloughed 30 teachers, raised taxes to the index 3.2%. Our finances are real, and every dollar matters. David was right. The incumbent had an opportunity to make changes along the way per what technology offers as it appears. What Wilson Group has offered to do is make this as seamless as possible. A key phrase you used was the horsepower is going to be there for the multi-functionality of the equipment that's going to be there. Our teachers are going to have to learn a little bit along the way, but it's going to be a how do we do this kind of shift, and I don't think it'll be that difficult for them. I really think we should do it now, because as we put things off, as our world goes, like any other school district, what we think is important then becomes urgent and vice versa as we kick things down the road. I think we should just do it, and Mr. Harris's idea of doing this over Thanksgiving makes a lot of sense, and I'm going to vote yes.
Well, is there a way we can rephrase the tab to mirror that if we're going to start it in November? So if we vote yes for this now, that would go into action now, correct?
I don't know that I don't think it's that clear, to be honest.
It's not that immediate. There's still the solicitor review. There's still the buyout process.
Okay.
There's still them ramping up and then building a timeline. We didn't want to put the cart before the horse and put a timeline in place if we went with ComDoc.
Okay.
So we have to make sure that everything's aligned. They have their equipment ordered, because I don't want to put in, okay, this will be done by October 5th, and they have a sourcing issue, and then that delays everything. But if we go a month out, we sit down together. Once this has been agreed upon by both parties, we could put, and the Thanksgiving break is a reasonable time for all of us to make sure we have everything accounted for and to be able to move forward.
I would offer that with the fact that there's no firm timeline, we were going to be creeping towards November probably anyway. So from our standpoint, more time makes it more smooth throughout the district. We've even offered to bring in devices to allow teachers to use those as a kind of a demo or a pre-training basis, and that would facilitate that. We could put one in every building so their familiarity is there, and there's no cost to the district at that point for that equipment either, and that is something we could offer to the district to help that future transition. We're totally fine with that.
Yeah, training could be done between now and Thanksgiving holiday break. We talked about that earlier over the summer, possibly. If we had gotten this done sooner during the welcome back for staff, we were going to have them in the buildings at the high school, at different buildings, and be able to play with the machines and have instructors there. But once again, the machines are the machines. There's not much difference. It's looking at your desktop. When you go to hit print, there'll just be a different type of multifunction machine there that they're going to print from, and hopefully better features, because there are some machines in our buildings that haven't really lived up to what they should be doing.
So I guess I'm looking for a guarantee then. My worry is just for the chaos, and we have enough to do right now. So how can we lay this out, a clear timeline, and make sure we're keeping up? If we're going to bring in the demos and have the trainings, should be smooth by January.
Before January. We'll be in place before January. We're looking, like I said, we have a longer break at Thanksgiving where we could bring the machines in earlier for the teachers to look at, to play with, to learn. And there is some programming that is involved through our IT department in Wilson they have to do. And we can go from there.
And we won't be charged. We'll start fresh.
It would be and everything that would occur between then. Nothing starts until the district accepts delivery, and that's all part of the leasing process, and that's all the documents that have been turned over to the solicitor. So nothing no charges formally or billings begin until that is signed off when everything is here. So to answer your question, yes, you're free and clear until that point.
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Harris, correct me if I'm wrong, though. I think probably January next year we'll be starting our transition of everything back down to Dixon for at least that building, right? Will we start thinking about the transition for Dixon at that point?
Well, what do you mean?
For the upcoming school year.
It's not firm yet, is it?
No.
moving in January.
No, we're not moving in January.
Right.
But I'm saying we wouldn't start the process at that point. How long would it take?
I'm sorry, start what process?
For Dixon. When will we be starting that process?
Well, we're
the following year after that?
Well, we'll be moving in the summer, but we're looking at Dixon now. We're buying furniture and making sure everything's up to what we want.
All right, thank you.
I mean, again, my only concern is, it's all great. I always want to, look at trying to save the district money and everything. We're always, there's nothing against you, but there's always a parade of people in here who are always willing to come in here and offer something else. And I know in dealing with businesses that I have here and through my things, and a new vendor wants to come in and save us a little bit of money, and there's always a lot of headache and just learning because they just converse differently than how we deal with ComDoc. And I know ComDoc, where they offered us last money or anything, I can tell you for the last time I've been here, I've never had anybody come in here and complain about the printing. It seemed to have been okay. So I'm not saying anything bad, but regardless of whatever it was, that was one thing we never had an issue with. And I always understand we do need to make sure we spend the tax money of the taxpayers very wisely. But sometimes when we transition from one thing to the other, it always just concerns me. That's all. I'm not saying whether it's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's just amazing how people are so against change. It scares everybody. It's fear. I get it. But we're moving in a different direction.
It's experience I've had when we.
Well, I'm saying,
please don't talk over each other. Please don't talk over each other.
Our citizens have several years ago to ask as a district for us to move in a different direction. It's come down to how we communicate with people. It comes down to what are our achievement levels for our students. It comes down to how are we handling transportation. It comes down to who are our leaders within the buildings and administration. People have asked us as a district to continue changing. The best thing I seen last week was two of our students who sat up in front of the room and said, our high school is different now. And they encouraged that. They're having fun. Dr. Woods have done a great job up here in making the bill. There's nothing wrong with change. There's nothing wrong with it. Sometimes it actually is good.
I don't think anyone is disagreeing with that idea.
I'm just really addressing his point, not necessarily saying that that's what you
I
feel.
wasn't saying change is bad. I never said that at all. I just said sometimes we just have issues. That's all. I wasn't saying yay or nay against this at all. I'm just voting back, my previous experiences. I hope. I mean, if this is approved and everything goes through, great. I hope that, 3 months from now, we're not talking about how much of a headache this is.
One thing I ain't going to do is, I'm not going to hope on it. I'm going to hold them accountable for them doing what they say they're going to do. Okay. That's what we do to our partners now. We hold people accountable, and if they can't do it, then we'll find some other vendor who can at some other point. That's just how it has to be.
Okay.
So we're not signing a contract and then just forgetting about the fact that we're doing business with these people. Believe me, we're going to check up and we're going to figure out if they can do what they say, because there's going to be another opportunity for us to do this again.
I agree.
Any other discussion? Okay. Thank you. Seeing no further questions or discussion, we'll take the vote.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Strasbaugh?
Yes.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Ms. Seligson?
Slow yes.
Mr. Hanchett?
No.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
No. Okay, motion carries 7-2. That moves us into Buildings and Grounds, 11.2. 11.1.
11.1, we seek approval of construction change directive CCD GC-002 from Nello Construction totaling $215,696 for the parking area soil conditions at Dixon School from Capital Project Fund 39.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Strasbach. Any questions or discussion on this? Okay. Seeing no questions, we'll take the vote.
Dr. Hildebrand,
Yes.
Ms. Strasbaugh,
Yes.
Mr. Belmont,
Yes.
Mr. Graves,
Yes.
Ms. Seligson,
Yes.
Mr. Hanchett,
Yes.
Ms. Lawson,
Yes.
Ms. Curry,
Yes.
Ms. Glasser.
Yes. 11.2. Motion carries unanimously. 11.2.
11.2, we seek approval of change order CW-001 from Northeast Interior Systems, deduct totaling $19,975 for the deletion of lockers due to the reconfiguration at Dixon School from Capital Project Fund 39.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Strasbach, second by Mr. Hanchett. Any questions on this? Okay. Seeing none, take the vote.
Dr. Hildebrand,
Yes.
Ms. Strasbaugh,
Yes.
Mr. Belmont,
Yes.
Mr. Graves,
Yes.
Mrs. Seligson,
Yes.
Mr. Hanchett,
Yes.
Ms. Lawson,
Yes.
Ms. Curry,
Yes.
Ms. Glasser.
Yes. 11.3. Motion carries unanimously. 11.3.
11.3, we seek approval of change order EC-004 from Pitt Electric Company, net deduct of $5,854 for clock additions and sound system deletions at Dixon School from Capital Project Fund 39.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Strasbach. Any questions on this change order? Seeing none, take the vote.
Ms. Strasbaugh,
Yes.
Mr. Belmont,
Yes.
Mr. Graves,
Yes.
Mrs. Seligson,
Yes.
Mr. Hanchett,
Yes.
Ms. Lawson,
Yes.
Ms. Curry,
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand,
Yes.
Ms. Glasser.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to 11.4.
11.4, we seek approval of change order 08 from Nello Construction totaling $11,068.85 for the replacement of 2 metal stair pans at Dixon School from Capital Project Fund 39.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Strasbach, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, take the vote.
Mr. Belmont,
Yes.
Mr. Graves,
Yes.
Ms. Seligson,
Yes.
Mr. Hanchett,
Yes.
Ms. Lawson,
Yes.
Ms. Curry,
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand,
Yes.
Ms. Strasbaugh,
Yes.
Ms. Glasser.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to 11.5.
11.5, we seek approval of the McFarland-Kistler contract for consulting design of the Woodland Hills High School kitchen cafeteria at a cost of $35,900 from the Capital Project Fund 39.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Strasbach, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Questions or discussion on this? Seeing none, we'll take the vote.
Mr. Graves,
Yes.
Ms. Seligson,
Yes.
Mr. Hanchett,
Yes.
Ms. Lawson,
Yes.
Ms. Curry,
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand,
Yes.
Ms. Strasbaugh,
Yes.
Mr. Belmont,
Yes.
Ms. Glasser.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to 11.6.
11.6, we seek approval of outside organizations to utilize district facilities.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Strasbach, second by Mr. Hanchett. Any questions on the outside use tab? Seeing none, we'll take the vote.
Mrs. Seligson,
Yes.
Mr. Hanchett,
Yes.
Ms. Lawson,
Yes.
Ms. Curry,
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand,
Yes.
Ms. Strasbaugh,
Yes.
Mr. Belmont,
Yes.
Mr. Graves, Ms. Glasser.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to 11.7.
11.7, permission to approve to advertise a bid for window maintenance and RFP for boiler maintenance and vehicle maintenance. There are 3 separate RFPs.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Strasbach, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Any questions on these? Seeing none, take the vote.
Mr. Hanchett,
Yes.
Ms. Lawson,
Yes.
Ms. Curry,
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand,
Yes.
Ms. Strasbaugh,
Yes.
Mr. Belmont,
Yes.
Mr. Graves,
Yes.
Ms. Seligson,
Yes.
Ms. Glasser.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to athletics 12.1.
12.1, we seek approval to accept the contract with Trib Total Media for varsity football game broadcasting for the 2019 season at a cost of $1,000.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Strasbach, second by Ms. Lawson. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, we'll take the vote.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Curry? Yes. Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Strasbach?
Yes.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Mrs. Seligson?
Yes.
Mr. Hanchett?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to Section 14, School Finance, 14.1.
14.1, we seek ratification of the bill list for invoices paid after the August 21, 2019 legislative meeting.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Strasbach, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Any questions or discussion on the ratification list? Okay. Seeing none, take the vote.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Strasbach?
Yes.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Mrs. Seligson?
Yes.
Mr. Hanchett?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to 14.2.
14.2, we seek approval of the September 2019 bill list.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Strasbach, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Any questions or discussion on the bill list?
Yeah, I had one question. So page 1 of capital projects, I think it's like at the very end or something. Basically, there's a charge for getting all of our Promethean boards in at the high school. Are those actually functioning since we were having issues with getting those installed?
That may be a Steve question.
I'm
Mr.
sure
Muter.
I'm sure it's a Steve question.
I hear him.
So I know we're having connectivity issues. Yeah, so page 1, item 0000181. And it's a significant bill, so.
Yes, all the monitors are working. It's the HDMI panels made by Hubble. There's two problems with them. One, they know how to address. They have to do like a firmware update to every single one of those panels, every wall.
Spectacular.
And the second part, they're still working on it with their engineers. It seems to be these newer versions of televisions, they changed their USB format, and it's not compatible right now at this moment with the Hubble extenders. I expect to have an answer from the engineers by week's end on if they have a remedy.
Okay, so but is that relevant to this portion of the installation?
The installation went well. The TVs all function. I think there might have been a couple teachers that want the heights adjusted.
Okay, but the bottom line is I can't hold these guys responsible and not pay them for the installation. It's the reason they're not working is not their problem necessarily. Okay,
no,
that's what I just wanted to make sure.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Muter while he's here? Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions on the bill list?
Yeah, I had one other one, and now I'm trying to find it. I apologize. So there's like an $8,000 bill to Huddle, which is a video service, I guess, for basketball, volleyball, and soccer. What exactly is that for? Is that video services? Does anybody use them?
Good evening.
So that invoice is for, we've already been using the Huddle software where all of our teams upload their game film. The Big 56, which is the 5A, 6A classification for all the schools in the Whitfield, require that football and basketball upload and use Huddle for all of their home games. When we did a cost analysis, it made more sense to do an all-school package so that all of our sports can benefit from that. So, for instance, soccer, volleyball, so on and so forth, the coaches can do film breakdown and analysis. The kids can make highlight tapes to send to college recruiters. In addition, because of our new partnership with the online streaming company, we now have all of our sports being filmed, and so now all of the sports can be uploaded to Huddle. And so it actually is going to be a cost savings for us overall, because we had to pay a videographer last year for basketball, because per our league rule, you have to film every basketball game and it has to be uploaded within 24 hours.
Okay, fair enough. All right, thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions on the bill list? Okay. I think we'll take a moment and call Mrs. Seligson into the rest of the remainder of the meeting.
Excuse me.
Note for the record that Mrs. Seligson will be participating in the remainder of the meeting by telephone.
Hello.
Okay, we're ready to take the vote on the bill list. Ms. Hawthorne?
Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Strasbach? Yes. Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Mrs. Seligson? Yes. Mr. Hanchett?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. That moves us to 14.3.
14.3, we seek the acceptance of the August 2019 fund financial reports and student activity reports for informational purposes.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Ms. Strasbach, second by Ms. Lawson. Any questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none, we will take the vote.
Ms. Strasbach?
Yes.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Ms. Seligson? Yes. Mr. Hanchett?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Curry? Yes. Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. That moves us, motion carried unanimously. That moves us to 14.4.
14.4, we seek approval of the investment reports for August 2019.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Strasbach, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, we will take the vote.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Ms. Seligson? Yes. Mr. Hanchett?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Strasbach?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. That moves us to section 15, Superintendent, 15.1.
15.1, we seek permission to approve the Success Seminar Program for the Woodland Hills High School District on October, which will be held October 31st through November 1st of 2019.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Curry, second by Mr. Hanchett. Any questions or discussion?
Can you explain it?
Okay, so this is a program that we discussed earlier about cell phones. And this is the start of our multimedia program that we would like to work with at the high school, where we work with our outside media representatives, reporters, producers, news producers, and we know here in Pittsburgh there are a lot of movies being shot. This is the start of bringing in an organization to teach our students how to use multimedia devices, aka their cell phones, to shoot movies, material, and we're having a panel discussion with media experts in the area. I reached out. It was supposed to be one person, but I reached out to many people, and they all said yes. So now it's a panel discussion, and there's quite a lot of excitement in working with our students in the multimedia platform. And on top of this, I was also approached by a teacher who wants to start an esports team here. So that will be coming down the road. So this is the start of our multimedia programming here at Woodland Hills at the high school level.
Any additional questions? Okay. Seeing none, take the vote.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Ms. Seligson? Yes. Mr. Hanchett?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Curry? Yes. Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Strasbach?
Yes.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. That concludes the agenda, Mr. Harris?
That's all.
Okay. Is there any old business? Any new business? Okay. Reminder, we don't have any reports this evening, but our committees will meet on October 1st and 2nd this month to keep clear the open house week. But we will be here on the 1st and the 2nd of October at 5 p.m. in this room. Any other reports to share at this time? Okay. That moves us to public comment. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board at this time? Okay. Seeing no one, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Hanchett, second by Ms. Strasbach. All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Thank you all. See you next month.
Here's your day.
Thank you.
Your day.